Welcome to the Business Boys Talkin Business Virtual Power Lunch. Please welcome your hosts, Tyler Price and Brian Magleby.
Hey, we're back.
We're back. We've got our new logos on there.
Yeah.
We are no longer the Virtual Power Lunch.
Yeah.
We're the Tuesdays at 2 group.
That's us. Brian's on the every other week schedule right now.
Yeah, I
worth.
had to check out last week for a board meeting. So, yeah, I was here to start the show.
No, thank you.
And then just left it in your hands.
Yeah.
And what an interview that was.
Boy, I'd say that, Eric, you missed out because that's a sharp kid going places. Kind of, You can't say lucked into it, but kind of launched something and not knowing how to do
he
it.
stepped it up and he's
bam.
taking it on.
He's
I
doing
love
cool
those
stuff.
kind of entrepreneurs, man. He's going places. He's he's patented the name or trademarked the name. And I mean, the guy there's a whole bunch of people out there wishing they had his name. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he's doing cool stuff. And came to another person that's been on, Ryan Harris's networking group the next day.
We were there 2 days later. It was Thursday.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Thursday.
Yeah.
So we were there with it. And Eric was there, joined us there at that, and absolutely phenomenal. So man, we got some great visitors. We're getting on the show today. Johnny one and only
Fisher.
Johnny Fisher from
Johnny
Pocatello. Yeah, Johnny Fisher. He's done multiple things. This guy's a serial entrepreneur, and he's now working with Heritage Home Health and Hospice, and they have multiple different companies. We'll get in and talk about that, but we're excited to have Johnny. We go years back with Johnny.
Yeah, we met him when he was just a little kid right out of high school, I think.
Yeah, well, he had a few kids because he has
yeah,
to.
That's true.
He did.
Brooklyn was probably anyway. It's been a minute.
About 10 years ago or so.
But yeah.
But it's good to have Johnny. We've known Johnny for years. He's absolutely a great guy. We're going to learn all about the business that he's representing, and I just got to tell you, we have every person on the show fill out the questionnaire, and on one of the questions we have on it is the keys to success and what's your advice for entrepreneurs. And this guy,
we got to post that.
Oh man, we should. And by the way, we have chat, so if you want to ask Johnny any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can chat through there. If you're watching us on Facebook, you can try. We're not sure we're getting all those, but utilize the chat as well. So let's talk about our sponsors.
BBSI, man, that's a great company to have in our area. And if you use BBSI, you get great service. They help from so many aspects.
Yeah,
right?
These guys, I talked to Jeremy again this morning, and man, the guy he's in Twin Falls. He's coming back here tonight. I mean, the guy he's got a great business. Anything human resources related, they can handle you.
Yeah. And let's don't forget about Volpine. They did a great job with our website, making sure the show gets streamed there as well.
And online every single week they post our shows, and we appreciate New Line Media. The studio that we're in. And every week he takes care of us. We've got our bottles of water all here. I guess you can't see me. I just held it up. So, he takes care of us. We got a great production here at New Line Media. If your business needs any kind of video work, video for your website, anything that it needs, this guy can do it.
And he does travel. I mean, even all the way to Greece. He's looking at bringing some streaming services in as well. So Tyson does great work. SBDC, Best Kept Secret in Idaho.
That's right. If your business needs some attention, whether it's small or big, we take care of people from cradle to grave.
Yeah.
And every business should fall into one of those categories.
So hopefully more cradle than grave.
That's right.
And then the Idaho Innovation Center, I can't speak highly enough. Brian just does a great job for his tenants, and not only in getting them started in kind of an incubator setting where the rent is a little lower, but you get him as a coach, and he's got decades of experience as an entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur. So if you're needing space, reach out to Brian. Do you even have any space?
We do. Two offices, which is kind of rare. Sometimes we have one, but now we've got two, and it's and I've had a couple people but they didn't quite hit the qualifications that wanted them. But if you're looking and you've got an up and growing business, come in and we will talk to you about getting an office at the Innovation Center. So So you will not regret it. Our biggest problem there is actually getting people to leave when they have to leave between 3 and 5 years.
They do make you leave at some point.
Yep.
So we got some classes. We're just finishing up one where Christine Gardner was teaching the
leadership
class. I'm in that class. It's been great.
Yeah, that's a great class. Everybody that I've talked to has had excellent feedback about it. We'll be doing it again in the fall. But we have a class starting next week, digital marketing. If you want to put that up there, this is a hot class. If your business utilizes any kind of digital marketing, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, whatever, if you want to make your company better presence online, you need to be in this class. And what a steal of a deal. Its price is going up, folks. The next time it will be $199. I'm telling you that now. If you want to get in at this price, you got to do it now. And we're going to give away $50 gift certificate. What do we call it? A scholarship to the class. We're going to be giving that away at the end of today. So you got to stay tuned today.
Yeah. I would hope to win both. I'm going to say that.
That's right.
I guess
so
I'm excluded.
If no one's going to text me at the end, you probably want to get my cell phone number ready to be text, because we got $50 from Longhorn Steakhouse. You been there?
Yeah, they do a great job.
Ah, man, I haven't been there yet, but I've tried going there, but the line's been too long, so I've had to go over to Olive Garden. So
that's a close second.
Yeah, it is. So we're going to be giving away $50 to that, plus $50 to the class. So stay tuned. They'll both be given away at the end after our training segment. So we got that class, and then we got another class. Now, if your business ever has to give any kind of an elevator pitch, if you're ever getting up in front of a group of people of more than 5 people, you should have an elevator pitch for your business. And this is one of the things that we do in what's called our Elevate Business class.
Yeah, and anytime someone says, what do you do for a living, you should have a response other than, well, if the first word's coming out of your mouth is, well, you need to take this class.
Boop! I just hit the elevator.
Yeah.
That's why they call it an elevator pitch, because if you don't have anything prepared, they're going to be hitting the button to get the heck off the elevator.
Yep.
So that class starts on the 15th. It's actually we're looking at teaching it at the College of Eastern Idaho. We partnered with them on this class. And yours truly will be the instructor for that one. I've taught the class for the last 3 or 4 years. Absolutely. We'll be going through mission statements, vision statements, unique selling propositions. We go through everything in that class. It's 5 weeks every Tuesday night from 6 to 7:30. And it is going to be an awesome class. The feedback we've had on that class has been, I think I'm averaging about a 4.9 out of a 5 rating. So
There's always that one person.
That's right.
So
only one instructor has a higher rating than myself. And we're trying to knock him off, our QuickBooks instructor. So those two are the 2 classes we have coming up here. If you haven't registered to go to the chamber luncheon, I encourage you to do it. I won't be there next week, but Tyler, I'm going to beg you to.
It's in my phone.
That's right. So Tyler will be making a little presentation on our behalf there, and giving away some more possible scholarships there. We'll tease it a little bit with that. Yeah. You got to show up to the chamber luncheon to get that. So we are. At
some point, we got to get Johnny Fisher on.
We do. I guess we got to. That's what people are tuned in to listen to. So we're going to watch a quick 2-minute video that will describe Heritage Home Health and Hospice. This is a little video that explains a little bit, kind of a testimonial about their business. And then we'll welcome the one and only Johnny Fisher on.
I had total knee replacement, and upon leaving the hospital, they recommended some type of home health, nursing, and physical therapy. And after reviews and talking to friends that used Heritage, that's who we decided to go with. Heritage Home Health was very professional, they're very courteous, they were punctual, they gave us calendars with time schedules and dates they would be in to see me. They highlighted particular exercises that need to be done in between visits. The nursing staff was very good, the physical therapists were very good. They were here extended periods of time to help me with my exercise that need to be done. In fact, when I went outside of the home for therapy, They were very happy that I'd used Heritage Home Health because my progress in rehabilitation was so much better than what they expected that they were very happy that my range of motion was better than what they expected, and my overall well-being was better than what they expected.
I'm glad that we had the nurse come in to be able to explain the incision, the post-care on the incision, and now that Phil is healing, I'm excited to get back outside and do our hiking and enjoying camping and being with the grandkids. So it's the best choice to have Heritage Home Health as our agency, and we're just very happy.
.net.
Well, great.
Wow.
Well, and Johnny is here under a little bit of physical duress. He was benching. What were you at? 500? Where were you at?
Yeah, about
Something
that.
about
yeah.
there. And as
10
you get
10 reps.
older,
Right,
yeah,
right.
as you get older, yeah,
We'll like to see that.
you get some strain, right? And so, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Because yeah, when you're putting up the big weight, sometimes you might get a little body saying, "Hold on a second, calm down just for a minute."
Yeah, he's got a few back issues.
Yeah.
So if you see him squirming over there, it's not that he's nervous
He
or
stands
anything.
up. He's not walking off. He's just stretching out.
I just forget that I hit the 40 mark and
Yeah.
I can't do that
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
You know, my
Wait till
body.
you hit 50, my friend.
Push-ups and sit-ups become your friend.
Oh,
You
man.
don't know. But when I met you, you were hustling textbooks. And you've done textbooks, you've done construction, your family, your uncle, your parents, all entrepreneurs.
Yep.
You've now you're in, you manage 6 things. You're running down to Salt Lake to help with other things. Like how did you get to where you're at, and what's that journey been like? And what do you say to someone that wants to start your business? Because you did have great answers here.
Oh man, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I mean, my business experience, my career really came from my family. You know, it started there. At a very young age, I mean, there's a loophole where I was a family member. Otherwise, there's like some child labor laws that probably should have been enacted, you know. But I got my start early on, working for my parents. My uncle, you mentioned, Larry, owns Destinations Inn here.
I was going to hopefully I knew
Black
we were going to
Swan.
bring up the
Black
destination.
Swan Inn in Pocatello.
Yeah.
And what Larry probably doesn't say is that I was the one doing the demo work.
Yeah.
14 years old, I had the sledgehammer. I mean, time of my life for about an hour, and then
Yeah.
it got old swinging
Yeah.
the sledge for 8 hours. But you know, that's where I started.
Yeah.
You know, getting dirty and doing that hard work, and I learned hard work. And for anybody that knows Larry and Debbie Fisher, I mean, to sit at the feet of 2 of the most talented people that I know. And to sit there in like an empty room, and Larry would come in, and he's always going a million miles an hour, you know, and he'd slap up a picture, and it was like an Amazonian rainforest.
Right.
He's like, okay, this is what we're going to create. And you're going to take that, you know, that concrete mix there, and you're going to take this styrofoam and this mesh, and you're going to create this tree and have these branches, and then you'll have like a snake coming down. And he's like, I'll be back in a few hours. You know, and that's where it started. And so I would try to do my best, and he'd come back after a few hours and be like, well, not quite, you know, and he would show me how to do it. And so I learned a couple things from that. I learned one, that my talent is not their talent,
Right.
and that's okay. I mean, their talent is artsy and to be creative like that. But what I learned is I have a talent for appreciating other people's talents and being able to learn and translate that to my own talents, right?
Yeah.
So their talent was success. Their talent was how to run a business, and I got to see that creation from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Right. And so I wasn't going to go create a Black Swan Inn. I wasn't going to, you know, draw the things on the walls that Debbie drew, but I learned from them how to run a business.
Yeah.
Right. I learned from them how to take a vision and make that into a reality, into a successful business like they have. So really my career started there. My parents are realtors. I got into the business 17 years ago. I had my real estate license for 17 years.
Wow.
And then my brothers, I come from a family of 4. My 2 oldest brothers and I, we started, you mentioned Textbook Exchange.
Yeah.
So we ran
You
that.
had multiple locations of that. I think at one time you had like Logan, Boise.
Yeah, Meridian, Pocatello was our first location.
Yeah.
So yeah, I peddled in textbooks for almost 18 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was great. And that's, you know, it's all just come from my family, and kind of watching them as the young one. My curiosity is another one of the things that really drives me. And so, you know, learning from them, learning how to run that business. And from there, I've kind of created my own stuff now.
Yeah.
Well, so you've now ventured with Heritage Home Health and Hospice. So tell us about that company.
Oh man, one of the most phenomenal companies. So 3.5 years ago, one of my good friends, he owns Heritage Home Health and Hospice, and he was looking to get into some other things. And so I approached him and said, I'm looking for something new. And he was shocked, because all I'd ever known in my life was real estate, construction, and bookstores. And to pivot and change from doing that in something that I had known and I knew inside and out, I was very good at it, but to realize I didn't want to do that anymore, and then to jump into healthcare without any experience.
Wow.
It was a complete 180 for me.
But you're the CEO of it, so you're part of making sure that the business is operating.
Yeah, and business is business, right? And so it doesn't really necessarily matter what you get into. The model that you create can be replicated across any industry. And really the idea there, and why I love Heritage so much, is that I'm not clinical, but I don't need to be clinical, right? I have my strengths, which is operations, which is finance. I've got a chief clinical officer. I've got a chief marketing officer. Those aren't my strengths, right? But their strengths complement my strengths so well. And so, being together with them and being able to lean on each other's strengths, we've been able to create something amazing, and I came into Heritage and it was already amazing. So I didn't have to do anything other than maintain those relationships and allow them to be successful, allow them to shine, right? And so that's what's amazing about Heritage is the people that work there are just the best people you can find.
That's awesome. No, and your industry is a little bit regulated though. So you're coming into something a little different than what you'd been doing. And it's hard to commit to something for 18 years and pivot, I think. So kudos to you for being able to do that. But how do you deal with that? Because there is a getting up to speed when you're talking about the amount of regulation that you.
Yeah, I mean, and when you say a little bit regulated, that's an understatement. It's highly regulated. And you always have that, big brother looking over your shoulder. And again, it's the same thing as, relying on those people that have that expertise, finding that talent and attracting that talent and keeping that talent, right? And then relying on them and giving them enough trust to be able to perform, giving them enough, not micromanage them and trust them to do those things. And I've really done that. But really to go back to the beginning, I have to have some general knowledge of what's going on, right? In order to know if they're doing their job correctly. And so it was a lot of hard work at first. I mean, it was a lot of hours of just, late time studying, researching, going through the regulations, going through the laws, understanding them enough to give them the trust and know if they're doing a good job. And so it's, it goes back to everything I've done in my life. It's hard work.
Yeah.
It's putting in that time. There's no shortcuts to those things. And so once I did that and I was comfortable with what needed to be done, I had an understanding of what needed to be done, but knowing I didn't have to do it.
Right.
Now I know what needs to be done, and putting that process in place for them to run with it and be successul.
One of the things that I've known Johnny for years is that he's very involved with the community. You've seen him on the news, his Brooklyn's Playground, which is your daughter.
Brooklyn's my daughter, yeah.
And so kind of talk to us a little bit about that and some of the organizations that you're involved with on the side.
Yeah, so amazingly enough, we just celebrated last September. We celebrated our 10-year anniversary for Brooklyn's Playground.
Yeah.
So it was a big milestone.
If you're in Pocatello, you've heard of Brooklyn's Playground.
Yeah, and it was amazing to me to think 10 years have passed from that. So we're all different, but for me personally, I get burned out in work if I don't have something additionally that I'm giving back, right? And so it keeps me fresh. It keeps me just motivated to continue, because business, I love it.
Yeah.
But you can burn yourself out easily doing it, right?
Yeah.
So Brooklyn's Playground was an accessible playground that we built in Pocatello. And I say we, it was the entire community, right? And I get a lot of credit for that. And I'll take the credit, but the entire community came together, and over the course of 7 days, we had 3,000 volunteers. We built a 15,000 square foot playground. And the playground was raw materials. You had screws and lumber, right? And we created tree houses and tractors and all these things that were relevant to our community. And over 7 days, those 3,000 volunteers put in tens of thousands of hours, and we created something that's a long-lasting legacy for,
Yes, it
for
is.
the community.
Beautiful park
Yeah.
there. And I just got to say, you know, this kind of work that you do on the side and things like that, the benefit that you give to the community is so appreciated. When you can create places like Brooklands Playground, and now there's some other organizations that you continue that are total helping people in the community.
Yeah. So I continued with that, and we operate a nonprofit called the ELF Project, which is enriching lives and families. So our website, elf-project.org, you can go on there and you can see some of the projects we've done. Just quickly, you know, getting into the hospice space was something that was new for me for business, but my oldest brother, who was my business mentor, somebody that I looked up to, he passed away in 2010 from brain cancer. He had a glioblastoma. And so I was familiar with the hospice process, right? Personally, I was familiar with that hospice process. And I knew how difficult that was for my brother to go through what he went through. And the only way he was able to get through that, and that we were able to get through that, is that we had a support system, a structure. We had a family that backed each other up and helped each other out. And so when I got into this business and I saw some of our patients who were in their last days and had no one, right? There's somebody became our nurse.
Yeah.
There's somebody became our aide that would go into the house.
Yeah.
But they didn't have, you know, that close family relationship that really supported them. And so what we decided to do, and we didn't limit it to just Heritage, right? Because we could have gotten the total benefit from this, but we said this is a community-wide problem. And if they don't have family, the community needs to be the family.
Yeah.
Right. So we developed the ELF Project. We started it. We said anybody that's over 18, because Make-A-Wish covers everyone under 18, right? So it's kind of like a Make-A-Wish for the elderly. So we had people, one project was a 30-something-year-old who was in Gateway, which is a skilled nursing facility. And their administrator there, Gavin Monteith, is awesome. He said, hey, we've got this patient who's terminally ill on dialysis. He's in his 30s. He loves the Raiders. So we said, let's take him to a Raiders game.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I
we got
remember seeing
connections with Dallin Levitt from the Raiders. We took him to the Raiders game. While we're there, we found out he loved the ocean but never seen it. Let's take a quick trip to the ocean. Let's kill two birds with one stone, right? But what was amazing about that is the Raiders organization rallied. We got to meet Josh Jacobs after the game. We met David Carr.
Yeah.
I didn't personally get to go on the trip. I got outvoted and somebody else on our team went. That's how it happens, right?
Yeah.
But cool things like that that we were able to bring to people in our community. That's not just inclusive or just isolated to our company, but to the entire community.
Wow.
And to see them receive that love from us, from somebody that they didn't know. And then what really changed it, what really flipped, is that when you feel loved, to live, you have to love, right?
Yeah.
So it helped them understand that they can still love. And so they reciprocated that love, and that's when we really saw changes in the person. That's where we really saw that they stopped forgetting about the fight, the struggle that was their everyday life, the pain that was almost too much for them. And then the pain became bearable.
That's what it's all
they had
about
a
right there.
purpose.
So absolutely phenomenal. So talk about, you have 2 locations. So your home health and hospice, you're in a couple different locations. Is that right?
Yeah, so for Heritage, we have our original location, which is Pocatello, Idaho. And that's where we started back in 2010. And then in 2017, we started another location in Twin Falls. We also, my job as the COO of the Pinnacle Group, we also have another home health and hospice in Farmington, Utah that we have ownership in. I don't personally have ownership in that one. I have ownership, but we manage and operate that one as well.
That's awesome. And so I'll just tell you, when we have the speakers submit a registration, I've said on the show many of times that Tyler, me and you are brothers from another mother. So we've talked about that. But when I saw his feedback that he gave some entrepreneurs, and I want to go through and talk about each one of them, this is what has bound Johnny and us to, great minds think alike. I'll just put it like that. And so, but this is some of the feedback that he gave, and I just want to read a couple of these. This is his keys of success. Have a clear vision of where you are going, why and how you are going to get there. Focus on people through servant leadership. Set clear goals, determine measurables to get there, and track the data. Stick to the core values and do the right thing, always.
Yeah.
That is, you can't get better advice than that.
You could probably write a book on that. So I'm just saying.
Embrace the challenge, grow and become the best version of you. So if you're an entrepreneur, there's 5 bits of advice there that you should take into and live it with your business. So you also went on there that says, I love being an entrepreneur, and that's what we can see in you. When you have that kind of advice, that's what's in your blood.
Yeah, and if I could just say something on that, I think we like to complicate business sometimes, right? Business it's hard, but it's simple, right? It's complex, but it's very simple, really. And kind of the switch that flipped for me is that, business is all about relationships, and everything in life is about relationships. So we like to separate business and personal, but when I realized they're one and the same, right? It became very simple for me. And really the lessons that I learned came from being a father and from being a husband. And, I look at the things that I try to teach my kids and how I want the best in them, but really I look at what my wife has done for me, right? It's all about the relationship. And that relationship is about love, but it's also about helping that person improve. And she's been one that's definitely challenged me to grow and to get better. And so I translate that to business, and I look at people and I say, they need love. They need to feel the love from me, and it needs to be genuine. It needs to be authentic. Mm-hmm. So I'm always just true to who I am and myself. But they need to grow, right? They need those opportunities to be able to grow, because we talk about business a lot where we say, if we're not growing, we're dying. We're stagnant. We can't be stagnant. You either grow or you die.
You're going one way or the other.
The exact same thing is with people.
Yeah.
If they're not growing, they're dying, right? So my job as a leader is not to focus on the bottom line, not to focus on the profits. My job is to focus on the people, right? If I grow the people will grow the business. And if I give them opportunities for growth, they're never going to want to leave, right? I treat them right, but I also make sure that they're not stagnant. I wouldn't want that in my life. Right. And anytime I am stagnant and I'm not growing, I feel it, right? Yeah. I don't feel good, and I need something else. And so I'm always challenging myself to grow, challenging them to grow. And then if they're growing, my business is growing. And if my business is growing, that means it gives them growth opportunities. If that business is stagnant and it's not growing, I can't give them those growth opportunities, right?
And they're going to go look for them.
And they're going to go look for them.
Yeah.
But that focus is on them growing, because they're the ones that's going to grow that business. And so they continually just help each other out. As the business grows, they grow. As the business grows, they grow. And so the focus is on the relationship and giving them those growth opportunities. And it goes back to what you said. Those growth opportunities, it's all about becoming your best version of yourself, right? Continually improving yourself. And when I look back a year from now, if I'm the same person I was a year ago, then I failed.
Yeah.
Right? That is a wasted year of my life. And what I have and can't get more of is time.
Yeah.
Right? So if I've wasted a year because I have not grown, then I've just thrown that year away.
Yeah. Love that. We got 3 brothers from all different mothers up here. I like to practice what we preach all the time on here. So I want to go through and for those people who are thinking of getting into business, he asks these questions. Says, do I have the time it will take to pull off a new business? Do I have the work ethic? What sacrifices will I make? Can I handle the stress? Can I handle the risk? And these kind of things are definitely I just love the business insight that you have. There's a reason why you are the COO of a growing organization. How many people does your company take care of in the different areas?
We have 175.
Wow. That's amazing that you're doing that. And then on the hospice side?
Yeah, so that's total. Company-wide, we have 175 employees that we manage and take care of. There's a lot of indirect ones that we influence as well. Yeah. And a lot of contractors that work with us, but direct employees, we have 175.
And then clients, you're taking care of hundreds of clients in the areas too. So
yeah, across the 3 companies, or across the 6 companies we manage, probably close to 1,000 people that we act every single day.
That is awesome. We love to have these kind of people with this kind of energy and this kind of knowledge. If you have any questions for Johnny, feel free to put them in the chat. We could ask him. So tell him what's on the horizon. You're this guy that's always out there doing new things. What's on the horizon for you? What's gonna change so you're not that stagnant person?
Yeah, I'm always looking at opportunities, and just I think an opportunity or luck is when an opportunity presents itself and the timing is right and you're looking for that, right? And so I do have some things on the horizon. I do have some things that I can't speak about that I'm looking at doing, but I'm continually looking at that. And this is one thing where I've struggled of sometimes maybe I should just be content, right? But it's who I am. It's what I do. I'm content when I'm growing. I'm content when I'm creating businesses and creating opportunities for other people. And that's when I'm at my best, right? And so it's just in my nature. And so, yeah, we have opportunities that we're looking at on the home health and hospice side. We also have some ancillary businesses that we've always outsourced that we're looking at bringing in-house or starting other businesses that will support that.
Wow.
And then looking at some partnership opportunities.
Awesome.
That is awesome. Is there anything else that the audience needs to know about Heritage Home Health and Hospice?
Like I said, it's all about the people. Those people, we treat them right. They treat the patients right. And it was very easy for me to come into this business because I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to insert myself or try to assert myself and try to change anything, right? We had the right people in place, and I need to get out of their way.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that they're supported, that they feel loved, that they have the tools and the resources that they need to succeed. And that's my job, to motivate and keep them going, but to get out of their way because the experts are them.
Yeah.
And so if you're ever looking for home health or you're looking for hospice services, our people can take care of you. And I've said this to our people, like sometimes people get scared about growth, right? But I said the reason I want to grow is because if my mom or dad were on hospice services, I would want them with Heritage. And so every single person that comes out of the hospital or comes out of a facility that goes on hospice services, I want to treat them like my mom and dad. Yeah. And that's not saying anything about any of the other companies. Right. We don't focus on that. We focus on us. And I know that my employees are going to take care of that patient the best that they possibly
just
can.
Like they're
all their energy, just like they're their own, just like they're their own parents or their own brother or sister. And so because of that, I want them with us because I want them to be taken care of because I care about the people. I care about the community.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's great. We got this final quote that we have each of our speakers come up with and kind of talk to us about. This is one of the best quotes out there. So tell us.
Yeah. So this quote comes from Winston Churchill, and it's really become a mantra in my life. It says, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." And this goes with everything that we've been saying all along, right? I mean, if I focused on success or failure, that's an event. That's a one-time thing that happens, but I'm saying that that's the end all, the be all, right? No, it's just a stepping point in our life, in our journey that's called life, right? There's so much before it, there's so much after it that has to take place. And I struggled with this because I've had a lot of business failures and it really drug me down. But now that I have this lens of history to look back on, I can look back on that and think, man, I'm glad I went through that. Because
they weren't failures; they were learning.
You just took my line. Right? Yeah, that's
we're brothers from another mother, man.
Like, there's no failure.
Yeah. But without that, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Without that, I wouldn't have the compassion for other entrepreneurs that fail or for employees that mess up, right? Or for even my own kids. Those failures make me realize I'm human. I need to stay humble. I need to learn from those things. And at any point, I could fail again. Yeah. Right? But I'm not a failure. I need to learn from that and go and keep going from that. And same thing with success. People think like they've achieved it one time and they start getting an ego and thinking they're so great. I'm like, no, there's so much that went into that, right? Yeah. And where are you today? I don't care what you've done in the past. Where are you today? Where are you going? Where's your trajectory? So I love this quote, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts.
Absolutely great. It's been staring at you. I don't know if you could read the fine prints a little bit there. So unless you focus in on it, you may not have seen that, but absolutely a great quote. And Johnny, thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do for the community, what you're doing for Heritage Home Health and Hospice. That's it's absolutely so great. He brought a $50 gift card. So
This is a new thing we're doing. We're asking our guests to bring something we give away,
Yep.
and I think you're the first one we've made do this. Maybe
Yes.
I don't know, but
Happy to do it.
yeah. Well,
So we've got
he has
50
set the
bucks.
bar high.
He has
So-
$50. Yeah, I don't know if some of our vendors, Aaron Johnson, if you're watching, this is where the bar's been set now. You're on next week. So the
Unexpected.
$50. Put my cell phone number up there. Let's see if we can light it up. So there's my cell phone number. On the show, we talked about the different locations that Heritage has, and there's 2 locations within the state.
Heritage specific, not the group,
That's
but
right.
Heritage specific.
So there's 2 different towns. Text me the name of those 2 towns where they're at, and you will win this $50 gift card. So absolutely phenomenal. Thank you, Johnny, for joining us. We're going to transition into our training segment. We'd ask you to stay because we'd love to have any kind of input on that. Our training today is on this great book of Made to Stick. If you haven't read this book, it's a great read. And if you do any kind of advertising, promoting your business at all, that's what this book's at all. We're going to kind of give a little quick summary of it. We're going to watch actually 2 videos today on it. We're going to show one right now that's just a quick one that'll kind of introduce the book. And then at the end of the show, you're going to have the opportunity to listen. It's a little bit longer. It's an 8-minute video,
Wow.
but it fully explains what that book is all about. And if you want your business to survive these times, you've got to do certain things with your advertising dollars. And this book will tell you all about it. So let's watch a quick interview. Again, stay tuned. We're going to be giving away a $50 at the end of the show in addition. So here's a little introduction on the Made to Stick.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this video. Today's big idea comes from brothers Chip and Dan Heath, and their book, Made to Stick. The book has the subtitle, Why Some Ideas Survive and Others Die. And, in its essence, it's a guide on how to design your communication in a way that will make your ideas stick. By stick, they mean that your ideas are understood, remembered, and have a lasting impact. That your ideas are presented in a way so they will change your audience's opinion or behavior. Good ideas often have a hard time succeeding in the world, while urban legends and conspiracy theories keep circulating with no evidence to support them. Made to Stick helps us design our communication so that our ideas can circulate as effectively as these fictitious stories. Communication specialists have lots of advice on how to deliver your message, which is great. But according to Chip and Dan, we also need to focus on the design of our message. And this is exactly what Made to Stick is all about. The book emphasizes the importance of people understanding why your ideas are worth pursuing. After all, a useless idea delivered to perfection is still a useless idea. To make our communication more effective and make our ideas stick, they suggest that we design our message around 6 principles that can be summed up with the mnemonic success. Principle 1. Simplicity. How do we find the essential core of our ideas? Simplicity isn't about dumbing down, it's about prioritizing. If you have 10 points, even though they are all excellent points, no one will be able to remember all 10. Instead of overwhelming your audience with information, you need to keep things simple and to the point. Principle 2. Unexpectedness. How do we get our audience to pay attention to our ideas, and how do we maintain their interest? We must surprise them by opening gaps in their knowledge and then filling these gaps. The brain likes to save energy by running on autopilot as often as possible. It does this by allowing familiar information to pass by without paying attention to it. On the contrary, when confronted with the unexpected, the brain jolts out of autopilot and into manual control. The unexpected receives our full attention. Principle 3. Concreteness. How do we make our ideas clear? We make them concrete because our brains are wired to remember concrete data. Principle 4. Credibility. Ideas only spread if they are believed. If not, they are dismissed without further ado. But how do we make people believe in our ideas? The answer is simple. We make them credible, authentic, and believable. Principle 5, Emotions. How do we get people to care about our ideas? We make them feel something. Tell them why your idea can help them by using the "what's in it for you" angle. And remember, people care about people, not numbers. Principle 6, Stories. How do we get people to act on our ideas? We tell stories. Stories are memorable and convey wisdom concisely and in manageable chunks. And there you have it, 6 principles for making your ideas stick. To summarize, here is a checklist. All you have to do is present a simple, unexpected, concrete, credible, emotional story. And with that, we have concluded this video on Made to Stick by Dan and Chip Heath. We hope we have inspired you, helped you grow your mind, and motivated you to be the best you. Please remember to subscribe and always take care, and see you soon.
Well, good. We will reiterate the 6 steps
Yes.
that they just talked us about. But
Made to Stick. If you have any kind of messages out there and you follow these 6 steps here, your message will be have purpose, I guess, is behind any kind of message that you put out there. So,
and a book that has duct tape on the front of it, or a picture of the
Yep.
duct tape's how we fix everything. Right?
that's right.
But the first one being simple, and you kind of hit on that too, just keeping business simple, right? I remember a networking group that I was at Arlo Luke's table, and someone at the table actually said, "I want to meet Johnny Fisher." And Arlo goes, "Well, he's sitting right there. Go over and say hi." I mean, and that was as simple as it, as that was Arlo's, like, the guy wanted to meet you. And I can't remember who it was, but I just remember Arlo saying, "He's sitting right there. Well, this isn't that hard," right? So
Exactly. It's a great principle. Principle 2, unexpected. You got to get their attention. And in the video that we're going to watch at the very end of the show, it talks about different ways that you can do that, to be unexpected, to catch some people off guard and catch their attention, to make them really start the thinking instead of it's just monotonous words over and over. If you catch their attention, then you're going to have more impact with them.
yeah, and concrete, that's, your fables, things like that. When you think of something, it's concrete in your mind. It's stuck there. You don't have these other things going, nice and clean and simple. And yeah, Aesop's fables is kind of even brought up there. So
Yep. So incredible. You've got to be credible. When he talked about that, you've got to be credible, authentic, and believable. And those are 3 things that you've got to make sure that your advertising is focused on. That you've got to have those it's got to be authentic. People are looking for that. It's one of the big words of time is being authentic in your advertising, and you will connect with more people the more authentic you are. And I think that all of the Google reviews and stuff force the people to be truly authentic.
yeah, and emotional. I think that's also being genuine. As you talked about your brother that passed and hospice came in and served your family, right? Yeah. And that was an experience. Like, you don't necessarily love it, but they helped you through that, right? And there's a lot of emotion involved. The fact that you now get to reciprocate that help that your family received to others. I mean, there's, again, this emotion and authenticity that can exist either in our marketing or just in who we are.
Yeah, and one of the things that they talked about in here is I've trained this for years, that you've got to dial into this certain radio station. And it's called WIFM, and it's what's in it for me. And that's what you've got to be thinking from people in all the messages that you put out there. What's in it for the customer? You got to be able to keep focused on that, because that's why people are going to motivate them to do business. And so you got to dial into WIFM. So hit principle number 6.
Stories. I always got a story. You got a story, Johnny?
I do have a story. I don't know how much time we have, but just looking at these last 2 principles, you got 2 minutes maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just these last 2 principles here on emotional and stories. When I come back to Brooklyn's Playground, I think about that whole experience. At first, I thought that this would be something that's very easy to sell, but I also was very daunted by the fact we had to raise $600,000.
Wow.
And I was in my 20s. I'm like, I can't do this, right? But when I got out there and I helped them see the stories, at first I would show the statistics, because I'm a numbers guy and I'm very logical. But I would show the statistics, and like, there's this many people that have a disability in our school district, and this many people would benefit for it. And I threw that whole thing out the window. And I started just telling stories.
Yeah.
Because stories brought the emotion, and it helped them relate, right? Everybody knows somebody that would benefit from that playground, whether it's a child that has a
Special
disability,
needs,
an elderly person that wants to go play with their grandkid, or even what we sometimes term as able-bodied kids, right? They benefit from this too, because it gives them an opportunity to play shoulder to shoulder with somebody that has a disability. And kids are curious.
Yeah.
They just want to ask questions, get
Yeah.
to know each other. They see the difference, but it doesn't matter to them. They just want to know why. And then once they understand that, then they can go and play, right? So as I told the story about my daughter and what happened to her and why we wanted to do this playground, you could see the emotion come in. And then we had a secret meeting where they changed the name, and I can't remember what we had at first, but they had a secret meeting without me, and they decided to name it Brooklyn's Playground.
Right.
And
Awesome.
with that became a relatable face that people saw, kind of branded it, marketed it that, and it took off from there, right? Because people saw that, they related it to people that they know, they felt the emotion, and the entire community knew about this project because it was sticky,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I thought it would just be sticky because it is what it is, but we're inundated with all these messages.
Yeah.
But as soon as we saw a face, we had a story, they got the emotion, they saw what was in it for them, they could relate it back to themselves, and boom, it
And
blew
that's
up.
where success happens.
Yeah.
And that's what, if you want to have the true authenticity in your advertising message, follow these six steps of success here. So they missed an S there at the end. So
Something.
but anyway, the absolutely great principles. That's a great read of a book. And I do that. Thank you for your stories. Thank you for your participation today and for the good work that you do down there in Bannock County.
Yeah, Bannock County,
Pocatello.
Pocatello,
There you
Portneuf
go.
Valley.
There you go.
Chubbuck, all that, right?
Yep.
Very good. Well, let's. We're going to give away another $50 certificate, and we're going to give this away for our digital marketing class next week. Starts next Tuesday. If you put any kind of message out there and want to make it to stick, you need to be in this class. Absolutely phenomenal. This is the third or fourth time that Ryan's taught this class. He's one of our sponsors here at Volpine. Absolutely is a guru in this area. If you want to have $50 off, the class is $149. If you want to get it for $99, I'm going to just throw out a little simple question in there that you can text. Put up my cell phone number to text again. We did have multiple people that chimed in to get it. And we got, of course, our friend Glenn got the $50. He'll be taking his wife. I met yesterday. She came to one of our classes yesterday, and he's going to be going to Texas or to Longhorn Steakhouse here in Idaho Falls. So absolutely possible. But I mentioned a radio station that people should dial into. If you can remember the four letters that radio station consisted of, send me a text. If you're wanting to go to this class, if you're watching it live, if not, feel free to send me. Maybe I'll just come up with some more $50. So don't be afraid anytime if you're watching this.
And is this Zoom or live only?
This is live, but we will Zoom if needed
Okay.
if there's some COVID things. So good point. So
Yeah.
if you can remember that radio station and you would like to go to the digital marketing class, absolutely a phenomenal class. Text me. Don't think that maybe someone hasn't won it yet. So well, I got text, but I don't think it's the right person. So.
Yeah.
But
Who doesn't like them, whoever that
that's
is.
right. So
You're not winning.
Still try. So get that text. We're going to be giving away one next week too.
Hey. While Brian's on the beach in Hawaii, I'll be here.
I'll be
with somebody.
putting toes in the sand next week with Maui. So next week we got Aaron Johnson. Wow.
Yeah.
This has taken us a while to get this guy on the show, but this guy with Bateman Hall here in town, he's got some gigantic projects that he's working on.
Can't wait to talk to him.
He's going to be here next week, so I won't be, but you
I
will
will be with somebody special. Maybe,
That's right.
Maybe Johnny.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
So thanks everybody for tuning in to Talkin Business, and we will see you later. Thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up, everybody.
I recently read the book Made to Stick by authors Chip Heath and Dan Heath. Imagine this evening you meet a friend for dinner. Halfway through dinner, you tell your friend that you want to try an experiment. You tell them that you're going to spend 10 seconds tapping out a famous song on the table, and they have to guess what that song is. You start by tapping out the rhythm to the song Happy Birthday. If you did that experiment with 10 friends, how many of those friends do you think would guess the song? 1 out of 10 friends, or 5 out of 10 friends? In 1990, psychologist Elizabeth Newton played this game with students at Stanford University. Her findings were startling. Only 1 in 40 students could guess the famous song that the tapper was tapping. But here's the troubling thing. The people who were tapping out the songs thought that at least half the people would guess the song that they're tapping. Because the tappers knew the song and they had the song playing in their head, they expected many more people to understand what song they were trying to communicate. This is what psychologists call the curse of knowledge. Most of the time, we communicate our ideas as if we are the audience, and we forget that the audience doesn't share our knowledge. This makes our communication either confusing or boring. The curse of knowledge is the reason why brilliant scientists write papers that almost no one else can understand, because hardly anyone else shares their same level of knowledge. The curse of knowledge is the reason you can give a colleague straightforward instructions, but those instructions seem confusing to that person. The curse of knowledge is the reason you can spend hours putting together a presentation that you find interesting, but everyone that you present it to seems bored and distracted. If you can't communicate your ideas effectively, you waste a huge amount of time and effort developing those ideas. Luckily, authors Dan Heath and Chip Heath have come up with a list of techniques to overcome the curse of knowledge and get our ideas to stick. Sticky ideas are interesting, actionable, and memorable. Here are 3 stories from the book to illustrate 3 ways in which you can make your ideas stickier. One afternoon, social psychologist Robert Cialdini went to the Arizona State University Library to look for a compelling way to teach scientific lessons to his students at Arizona State. He gathered a pile of scientific books to search for inspiration. As he flipped through the science books, he found that most of them were loaded with scientific jargon and painfully boring. But then he came across an astronomy book that started off with a question. How can we account for what is perhaps the most spectacular planetary feature in our solar system, the rings of Saturn? There's nothing else like them. What are the rings of Saturn made of anyway? And how could 3 internationally acclaimed groups of scientists, a group at Cambridge, MIT, and Caltech, come to wholly different conclusions on the answer? The answer unfolded slowly, like a great mystery novel. Cialdini had no interest in the rings of Saturn before he picked up this book, but now he found himself going through the pages of this astronomy book like a speed reader. The reason Cialdini couldn't put that science book down is the same reason we force ourselves to sit through a bad movie. We need to know how it's going to end. If you want to make your ideas stick, don't reveal your idea all at once. Create a sense of mystery. I tried to do this at the beginning of this video, when I told you I had 3 stories to tell, and I showed you 3 letters. My hope was that you would wonder what those letters stood for, and what those stories were about. Authors Chip and Dan Heath say that the goal is to get your audience thinking, what's going to happen next, and how is this going to end? By getting your audience to ask those questions, you have a better chance of getting your audience engaged and having your ideas stick. Oh, and the answer to the Saturn mystery was dust. That's right, dust. The Saturn rings are made of ice-covered dust. The 2001 television commercial for the new Enclave minivan opens with a minivan cruising down a suburban street. A voice states that the new minivan has features like remote control sliding doors and a full sky view sunroof. As the minivan cruises along, the family of 5 is joyfully smiling inside. The minivan stops at an intersection and the camera zooms into the face of the young boy sitting in the back seat as he gazes out the window. And then, wham! A speeding car barrels into the intersection and smashes into the minivan. The minivan buckles and glass flies everywhere. Then the screen fades to black and a message reads, "Didn't see that coming? No one ever does. Buckle up." This wasn't a car commercial. It was a safety commercial by the US Department of Transportation. The commercial caught the attention of millions of people when it aired in 2001, and it effectively delivered a safety message that most people found boring and were sick of hearing about. The Enclave minivan commercial was so effective because it was so unexpected. Nobody expects people to die in a car commercial. Before delivering your next idea, try to capture the attention of your audience by injecting a dose of unexpectedness into your message. I tried to inject a dose of unexpectedness at the beginning of this video when I asked you to think how often your friends would guess the song you're tapping, and I brought up numbers like 1 out of 10 times or half the time, and then revealed the number was more like 1 out of 40. I was hoping that that number would be surprising and insightful. One great way to craft an unexpected message is to identify the topic of your idea and then ask yourself, what is my audience expecting to hear about this topic? Then ask yourself, what would my audience find surprising or counterintuitive about this topic? When you ask these questions, you challenge the assumption that people will find your idea interesting just because you find it interesting. Take a moment to imagine someone knocking on your door. You open the door and you find a young lady wearing a red vest and carrying a bucket. She politely introduces herself and explains that she's working for Save the Children and she's trying to raise money for starving kids in Africa. Which of her two messages are you more likely to donate to? Food shortages in Mali are affecting more than 3 million children. Please help them. Or, any money that you donate will go to Rokia, a 7-year-old girl in Mali, Africa. Rokia is desperately poor and she faces the threat of severe hunger and even starvation. Her life will be changed for the better as a result of your financial gift. In 2004, researchers at Carnegie Mellon University tested a similar scenario. The people who were given the startling statistics about Africa's food shortages contributed on average $1.14. But the people who heard the personal story, like the one about Rokia, contributed $2.38 on average, more than twice as much. The majority of the time you deliver a message, you're going to expect people to care about your message as much as you do. But they won't, unless you tell a personal story. Personal stories are like flight simulators for the human mind. A personal story can allow someone to imagine themselves in the shoes of the main character in the story and feel what they're feeling. This is why more people donated when they heard the story of Rokia. Those donators felt Rokia's pain and wanted to help. If you want people to listen and care about your ideas, start introducing your ideas using a personal story. All good stories involve a setting, a protagonist, a personal struggle, and a logical sequence of events to overcome that struggle. Your goal is to make your idea the solution the protagonist uses to overcome the struggle. This protagonist could be you, someone you know, or someone you read about. In the end, to overcome the curse of knowledge and deliver messages that stick, remember to inject a bit of mystery, reveal an unexpected fact or event, and deliver your message with a personal story. That was the core message that I gathered from Made to Stick by Chip Heath and Dan Heath. This is one of the best books on effective communication I have ever read. I highly recommend it. If you would like a one-page PDF summary of the success checklist for sticky ideas that I gathered from this book, just click the link below and I'd be happy to email it to you. If you already subscribe to the free Productivity Game email newsletter, this PDF is sitting in your inbox. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a productive week.